Okay.
There. And there's the back. Matthew Donnelly spent 30 years of his life working with X-rays. He was a physicist. He dedicated his life's work to helping other people. Unfortunately, due to the X-rays, he got cancer and multiple cancers. It ended up having his legs amputated, his jaw removed, his upper lip, his nose, his left hand, and he had 2 fingers left on his right hand. He was told by the doctors he only had a year to live. He was immune to all the painkillers, so now he was in agony, and he was going to remain that way until his dying day. What kind of life did he actually have to live? And should he have the right at this point to intervene with assisted suicide? Today, I want to discuss with you the law, the morality, and the reasoning why I believe assisted suicide should be legalized. And I'm going to show it to you through communicating with Matthew Donnelly's case each and every step of the way. In the United States Constitution, second paragraph, it reads from a paraphrase, "We are endowed by our Creator certain unalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." As a part of the U.S. Constitution, the Supreme Court is established to interpret these laws and make sure we make the best of them. But according to the Washington Post in 1996, 2 circuit courts struck down laws prohibiting assisted suicide and inherently passed the authority to choose back to the states. There's currently 3 states right now that allow for assisted suicide: Oregon, Washington, and Montana. But unfortunately, Mike Donnelly lived in Pennsylvania, and the insurance companies would not pay to have him go to any of these other states to get the treatment that he needed and he deserved. There's obvious contradictions that exist in our laws. There's 17 states right now that approve abortion laws through the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court ruling. This is where a life form exists after 12 days a heartbeat begins in a mother's womb, a life independent of its own, but a mom has the right to go ahead and terminate that life. Why can't a living person like Mike Donnelly choose to take his own life when he has no other option than to die in pain? He has the right to die with dignity. Many arguments when it comes to assisted suicide are always religiously based. Now, when we talk about religion and politics, we have to understand when we came to America, we came here to get away from religious intolerance. We had Anglicans, Jews, Puritans, Catholics. They were all free to believe what they wanted, harness their own religion, and it was left up to them and their morals and values how they were going to govern their own society and make their own rules. So with religious intolerance, we have to understand that we have to get down to the main core. The main core would be morals, is how I best justify it. And according to the elements of moral philosophy, morals are defined by, it is not about pleasing God, nor is it about being faithful to abstract rules. Morality is about making the whole as happy as possible. Now in Mike's case, he didn't want people to remember him the way he was now. He wanted them to remember him how he was. So therefore, he prohibited anyone to come to the hospital to see him. There were no visitors. He sat there in anguish and despair on his own with 24/7 to think about the peril that he was in and no way out. Now, I don't believe everybody should be entitled to assisted suicide, but you have to understand there are medical circumstances in which these people, even if they wish to take their own life by overdose or a weapon, they can't. And then there's the implication of their insurance. They want to leave their families better off than the turmoil they're in now. But for Mike, I mean, he couldn't even pick up a gun if he chose to, couldn't even swallow a pill. He was chained to a hospital bed, and at the advice of doctors, he had no way out. Now, I think there is a country that has gotten it right, Japan. Japan now has 4 qualifying factors which will allow for anybody to have assisted suicide. The first is the patient needs to be suffering in an unbearable pain. The second, the death needs to be inevitable and imminent. That means there is no cure, there is no known cure, there's nothing they can do to help them at this point. Thirdly, all measures of treatment have been exhausted and nothing has taken effect. And lastly, the patient has to be coherent and clearly state their will to want to take their own life. What it comes down to is these individuals deserve dignity in death. To continue with Mike Donnelly's story, before, when things were getting really bad, he asked for his 3 brothers to come and visit him. He pleaded with all 3 brothers to take his life for him because he was unable to do it himself. 2 of the brothers vehemently denied it. They said it was against their religion and they had every right to have their own beliefs. The 3rd brother took mercy on Mike. So the next day he brought a pistol into the hospital and shot Mike in the head, taking him out of his misery, allowing him to die without any more pain, any more suffering, any more nerve-wracking feelings of what's next, what's going to happen, what's going to be worse. He did a valiant thing, and to me that makes him a hero. But the court did not see it that way. His brother will probably never see the light of day. Had we have just had it available to where people in these conditions were allowed to have assisted suicide, Mike Donnelly's brother would not have to suffer the consequences of doing a heroic thing. So today I ask you to leave with the thought that assisted suicide is something we need to fight for because we know a family member or a friend or someone we care about that has cancer maybe and it's terminal. Or we know people who their body is sensitive to all nerves and they're in excruciating pain every day and doctors can't figure out what's going on. These people deserve to die with dignity. Thank you very much and have a wonderful night. Done.